Hello, everyone, and welcome. In today's episode, we are running a solo rat cleric in High Roller Crypts, and we are here to discuss my preliminary feedback from the 2.0 patch. And spoilers, this may be the greatest collection of changes that Iron Mace has implemented into Dark and Darker. I have to say, I'm enjoying it a lot. It looks from the player numbers on a daily basis being anywhere from 18 to 22,000. Looks like everyone is enjoying this quite a bit. And so I wanted to, first of all, wish you guys a happy Thanksgiving. I hope you had a great holiday. I am, I believe, about to succumb to a post-Thanksgiving head cold, so I apologize for the condition of my voice today. But I did want to kind of pop in here and talk about the kind of massive tectonic level changes that have occurred in the game, how that has thrown a lot of my plans for content and projects I was actively working on a giant wrench into the works, as it were. But I wanted to hit the highlights of what I see as really positive from this patch, and then talk a little bit about some tips that I've learned in the last 5 days of play that are particularly powerful. And so, without further ado, let's hop in. The changes that they've made are really deceiving. At surface level, you kind of review the patch notes and you see some relatively minor stuff, some content, some quests, a couple new systems, but the kind of combination of some of what we had in the last testing iteration, combining that with what we have now in patch 2, it kind of renders a more substantial shift. And I'm really talking about two things here. I'm talking about the adventurer rank system that has been put into place to measure your success and to charge you at higher adventure tiers for entry into high roller dungeons, combined with the MMR changes that got implemented at the end of the last testing phase, and the static extracts. These are three very important new systems and features, and how they're changing the feel, the tone, and the challenge of the game from a player versus player perspective can't really be overstated. What we're seeing now is that you have absolutely no reason not to be in High Roller. It is the best place to make XP. It is the best place to make money. This was true in the last patch, but it is doubly true now, simply because the success rate is going to be far higher due to the addition of the static extracts, due to the changes in the adventurer rank MMR system. It basically means that you are going to roughly be in games with people with your same balance of success and failure in the dungeons. So if you feel at all comfortable with handling the AI of elite mobs, and I'm talking about the red variants for the skellies and all that jazz, then High Roller is absolutely the place to be. I leveled 5 characters to level 15 in the first kind of 24 hours of the game being out. I have since leveled my Warlock. More on that in a second. But that's 6 characters, in 5 days of kind of semi-casual play. It's very, very easy to do. If you're moderately successful in a single High Roller Crypts run, then you're going to get in and out with anywhere between 3 and 5 levels on a character, presuming you're starting from scratch, and even more so if you're willing to go down, to take a red portal in High Roller and go down and fight the Nightmare variants, are even more rewarding. But that's really challenging, and I don't think that's an available playstyle for a lot of classes. It does work on Cleric and a few others, if you partake in the cheese, as it were. But yeah, so let's talk about static extracts. They appear on your mini-map now as either a red staircase or a blue staircase. If you look now, The north side of this room, just left of this raised walkway, you'll see an icon indicating that there is a static extract there. It is not open yet. When it is open, a blue light will emit from it, or a red light if it is a down extract. And then there will be a torch mounted just next to these stairs that will be lit when it is open, emitting the light, and that will extinguish once the gate is open and somebody has taken it. And this provides a really important release valve in the overall risk versus reward kind of equation for, groups of all sizes. From a ratting perspective, it is invaluable. You can play around these. If you find yourself getting into trouble or being targeted or harassed by another team, you've got options that simply weren't available before. So this opens up the rat playstyle to a lot broader selection of classes than had access to it previously. Additionally, let's talk about normals. So the biggest flaw in the gym, which is dark and darker for a very long time, has been its really steep learning curve, combined with the fact that there was really no place of safety in which to practice your skills and to become more proficient at the game without getting thrown into general population, where you're at the mercy of, the slings and arrows of outrageous AI, but also, being plagued by groups of well-equipped gigachads running through the zones and farming everyone to their heart's content. That's pretty much gone. With the white cap gear on lobbies, normals have essentially been relegated down to an extended tutorial phase that allows new players to play there as long as they want. They will, of course, have minimal rewards for doing so. The loot that you're getting out of those normals is vastly inferior. You're getting a lot of whites and grays, you're getting occasional greens and rarely good blues. You can theoretically get epics out, but not at a meaningful rate. As you can see, behind this zombie here, one of the static extracts has opened, and there is now a blue torch, and it's lighting my way home. But I'm not content yet. I've still got a few slots to fill up, so I'm going to do that. So another big change for this run is we've got the questing system in, and while it's got some initial hiccups and flaws, it is a really valuable add for the longevity of the game. It gives you stuff to work for that is meaningful and is attainable. Some of the numbers aren't quite right, like bringing 15 of certain items, landing the killing blow 15 times on bosses. I mean, that seems really high up and really far away from an attainability perspective for a lot of the player base. But I anticipate some changes are going to be coming down the pipes. I think, the most meaningful change they can make to the questing system right now is allow us to turn in things incrementally. Because right now it's a huge burden on your stash. And I would actually recommend that if you are interested in really pursuing any of the quests, the first thing you need to do is really grind out 3,000 gold and get that first bank tab on the character that you want to progress quests with. Because it is really hard to do if you're accumulating any kind of gear or sets, with the limited bank space. Overall, a huge positive to the game. The other change that went in that I'm still kind of processing, honestly, is the bifurcation of strength and dexterity into two new stats. We have vigor, which now governs your health scaling, and we have dexterity, which scales your basically attack speed, where agility is now simply providing movement speed and strength is simply providing, physical damage. I think these are probably great changes, with one big caveat, which is if you're a regular listener, then you know that I brought up at some point at the end of the last patch that I was concerned that the classes who had to build neither would receive an indirect buff, and I think this is certainly true of Wizard. Wizard is really in a strong spot right now in the PvP meta. and I think this is because they only have to build a little bit of knowledge to be able to really push most builds, and then they're free to invest in other places. This allows them to get tankier or faster than they were before, and this is putting, front lines in a lot of danger. Barbarian has completely fallen off the cliff from a meta perspective, and I think Fighter is in a tough spot having to frontline into a Wizard. If you can't put that Wizard down immediately, the new tools, the new builds that Wizards are able to push allow them to very quickly melt frontline characters, even with pretty high levels of magic resist. So that's really interesting. But right now, it's never been easier to accumulate gear or to make money. Extraction is a very likely early game activity. You can find a dedicated extract, either up or down, and basically evade PvP to a much higher degree of success than you were ever able to, either as three-man teams or as a solo or duo in some of the three-man maps. Absolutely, I've been leaning on this heavily and leveling a lot of my less PvP-oriented characters, such as the cleric, and I've had a great deal of success with it. I think you will enjoy it as well. In terms of gearing changes and gearing strategy changes, one thing to learn is that crafting is incredibly powerful right now. A lot of what you want to do with the crafting system is locked behind reputation gain. That reputation is only increased by questing. So they've made it a little bit more difficult, I think, a little bit more time intensive to gear yourself up solely through crafting or making money solely through crafting. You're just going to have to, basically put aside a 3,000 gold outlay to get that first tab before you're going to be able to really run multiple quests at the same time or focus those up. Just a quick note on the player economy. People have gotten cash much faster than I anticipated going into the wipe. And I think the economy is already kind of at a healthy spot right now, which is to say that you can sell items, particularly items for rogues or fighters or wizards, very well, because I think all three of those classes are being played quite a bit, and they have enough money to buy blue and epic items at a high interval. So lots of success there from an economy perspective. Some of the things I'm not really that pumped about in this patch is I don't really like where Wizards' magic missiles are right now. I think it's too strong. I think they need to re-examine that. I'm not pumped about the kind of stash requirements on questing. I think they need to find a little bit of a happier ground. But overall, right now, the tone and tenor of playing just normal games or high roller games has never felt better than it does right now. The fairness level that's available in normals for the purposes of learning is extremely strong. The quality of the games that we're getting in High Roller are extremely high. The risk versus reward seems to be very dialed in, such that you are able to get good loot. You are able to make good decisions and have good outcomes. You're able to make mistakes and have serious consequences. All of that feels really solid. So if you have not dipped in and tried out Patch 2.0, now is certainly the time. And if you're comfortable at all with the AI, make the leap into High Roller, extract a few times, and I don't think you'll ever go back. If you're a new player and you're still learning the AI, the movesets, you're trying a class out for the first time, I think Normals is a great place to, kind of sharpen some of those skills, get your feet under you, but move on as soon as you're ready. Because, like I said earlier, I think that Normals have been essentially relegated down to an extended tutorial where people can take as much time as they want to get as comfortable as they want with the base game before moving into what has essentially become the spotlight of the game, which is the High Roller variants. Regardless, I hope you've enjoyed this content. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe. It helps me a ton, and good fortune to you in your raids to come.